his hair. Like, what? Good morning, everyone. I'm Demi the vegan, and that's Milo's butt. Okay, I'm Demi the vegan, and this morning I wanted to hop in and say that I'm gonna record this whole video probably on my phone. Hopefully that's not an issue for you guys, but until I get a vlogging camera that works, this is what I have. So I am meeting my friend for lunch today. I'm driving to Nashville so we can eat at one of my favorite restaurants. And we are going to discuss a few things that we are often asked as a vegan and just, you know, normal vegan things. Anyway, we are going to be doing that later this afternoon. So right now I need to get ready and study for my physiology exam that I have on Tuesday. It's week 3 and I have a test. I don't understand how they thought that was a good idea, but whatever. Hi, baby. No, we don't need that. No. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to hop in and say that thanks for watching if you're here, and it's so cute, I swear. Yeah, I'm not awake yet, so I'm gonna go. I drank some water, but I think I'm gonna go make some coffee or tea. No, coffee. I think I'm gonna have more coffee. Then I'm gonna study, and then I'm gonna get ready and head to Nashville. So I will tune in with you when I get there. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hey guys, welcome back. I am now here with my friend Sarah. Hey. We went and had lunch at Sunflower Cafe in Nashville. I have a couple questions I want to ask you.
Okay.
While we're together, actually.
Okay.
Do you kind of want to like share your vegan story, or
Okay.
are you open to that?
Yeah, okay, I'll share it. Okay,
Here we
so
go.
my vegan story really started, I think it was 2017. Yeah, 2017.
Yeah.
I came back from New York City. I went on a, it was my first like real trip, my first vacation really. And I came back and I just felt like I needed like to change something. Like I was like 310 pounds. Like,
No, you weren't.
yeah, I was.
No, you weren't. Oh my gosh.
I was. Yeah, I was like 310 pounds and I was like, I just don't feel great. Like I was freaking like, at 17, I was 21. Like I was 20 or 21. And my dad had passed away actually when I was 19. I had just turned 19. And he passed away from a slew of health issues, including like, you know, heart problems. So I didn't, and he was only 55, so I knew I didn't want that to be me.
Right.
So I basically started watching all these like different documentaries, and I started eating healthier but an omnivore diet.
Right.
And that lasted for about 2 weeks. And then I saw all these different documentaries on Netflix, like Forks Over Knives, let's see, Cowspiracy.
What the hell, that wasn't out yet.
It wasn't.
There was another one that I watched, Vegucated.
Yeah. I used to watch all of these, and they would kind of confirm and like show all this stuff to me. And so then I decided like pretty much overnight I was gonna go plant-based, and I threw everything out that was not like
Yeah.
that was not, you know, ethical or like good for me or anything like that. And I went on the like oil-free diet. I pretty much followed a China study cookbook, and also didn't consume any oil. I ate pretty whole foods, plant-based. And I did that for about a year or so. Exercised regularly, lost like 60 pounds. Yay! Right now, I'm still like on my journey, but it's been really great. And people say like, oh, would you ever go back? Like, would you ever like cheat? Would you ever break veganism just for like one meal? And it's like me at this point, this is how I live. It becomes your normal.
Right.
It becomes your everyday. You adapt to it.
Like veganism isn't a diet, it's a lifestyle.
It really
feel like
is.
People don't, you know, put the two and two together.
They really
sometimes,
don't.
And they're like, oh, you just eat a certain way. No, there's other things that go along with it.
Yeah, so I think the other night some guy was inviting me over to eat pizza with him. He's like, you can't eat any of this. And he goes, do you want to just break veganism for a night, you know, and just eat this pizza with me? And I was like, I've been doing this like 3 years. I can't just break it. It's a mindset. It's ethics.
Right.
Like, it's, but anyway, I digress. For me, veganism is all encompassing, and I would never go back. Like, once you learn all of the different parts of, you know, its effect on the planet, your health, other people, and the animals especially, you kind of can't just go back.
Right.
So that's my story pretty much. Thank
I
you.
love it. Yeah. I don't know.
What about you?
Me? Oh God, where do I start? So, I guess I haven't technically shared my story with my channel yet. So
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I recorded something the other day, but I think this is probably better with when I'm with someone.
Yeah.
I might cry, by the way.
That's okay. I'll get some tissues.
Okay. Just so you know. So I'm already thinking about it. For the longest time have struggled with like depression and like weight and, you know, stuff, you know, along those lines. And I think at the time I was in a really toxic relationship, and that, you know, doesn't help anything. Yeah. But one night, one of my good friends came over, and at the time she was like 6 months into her vegan journey, and we sat there and chatted for like, gosh, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours just about veganism, animals, and like, you know, everything goes along with it. Mm-hmm. And from that point, I did a lot of research, I watched a lot of documentaries, and I read articles, and I did everything in my power to like make sure like this is something that I really wanted to do and that was safe. And then I just did it. And you know, like mentally and like physically, I just felt better. Mm-hmm. And trying so hard not to cry right now, and it's just something that I have always wanted, and I finally had gotten it. So yeah, I don't know. And I think like after losing like all that weight that I did and like being where I am now, like I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, like period.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like I think like veganism helps, like I said like earlier, like on so many different levels, like mentally, like health wise, and like, you know, anxiety and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So and I don't think some people understand that either. Like they're like, oh, you just eat a certain way.
Compassion is something that comes to mind with veganism. Living compassionately and just like authentically and genuinely.
Yeah, and I think that's why too, because like growing up I was a huge animal person. Like no matter what animal was in front of me, I was like, oh, I love you. And then like, you know, thinking that and then going and eating, you know, chicken, you know, like now I'm like, oh, why did I do that? But like I'm glad that I started when I did, and I'm where I'm at now. So yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah. Oh, thanks. I didn't cry as much as I thought I was going to, or at all, really. But like, it's made a big impact on my life, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, it's not just So.
Oh well. Okay. Just bring it back in.
I'm okay. I know we're gonna go over some questions that we get on a somewhat regular basis.
Okay. All right. Well, first question, let's just get right into things. First question we get is really not a question as much as it's like a statement of you don't look vegan. And I don't know, I'll let you start with that one. What do you say when you get...
Cat, your other cat.
These cats are just crazy. Well, yeah, so like what do you say when someone tells you you don't look vegan?
Well, normally... Are they playing with my bag?
They might be.
Do I need to move it? Okay, so normally when I get asked that, I'm like, not everyone's gonna look the same. I mean, not all, not everyone's gonna look the same no matter what your diet is, period.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, I feel like it's kind of like, it's just a stereotype. And there are constantly like people that you meet that break stereotypes. And I don't know, like for me, it's like, I feel like veganism is always associated with like, thinness, and there are certain YouTubers that I think of that even promote like really unhealthy vegan diets.
Yeah.
And sometimes but that's like a whole nother thing with eating disorders and disordered eating among like vegans, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But basically, like when someone tells me, oh, you don't look vegan, it's really kind of like, I feel like it's something that people just, it's ignorant,
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And also rude. Like, I don't feel like it's appropriate for someone to say something like that.
It's really not, because it's kind of saying, oh, you don't fit this mold of what I think, a vegan should look like.
Right, exactly.
Which it can, be backhanded.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to the next. Oh, I see this all the time. Why eat fake meat when you could eat real meat?
Oh my god. I actually was just asked this like the other night. And I was like, well, like some people grow up eating those kind of things, and they just want something that reminds them, of their past, even if it means like it's not like real and like I don't know how to explain it. Like, how would you...
Well, if we're talking like from a health standpoint, vegan meats have so meat in general, real meat doesn't have like any fiber in it.
No.
You're not getting any fiber at all. Whereas like beans, tofu, tempeh, you're getting a lot of complete proteins there, and you're also getting a lot of fiber, which is like keeping you like satiated and just helping your gut. And then also, there is that you grow up eating a certain way, and just because you're vegan doesn't mean you think that meat tastes bad, because that's not the case.
No, yeah.
So you want a likeness that reminds you of something that you used to eat, but you don't want to contribute to the kind of the abuse of the whole system.
Right.
So,
and I think another thing too is a good thing for people who are transitioning into like the plant-based vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. I feel like it's something they can, look for if they want that like mimic or mock meat or whatever you want to call it. So.
Like Beyond Meat, Impossible Burgers. I know that KFC this week is launching their Beyond Chicken, so that's going to be a little crazy. But the Beyond Impossible, they really cater to those people who are like trying to transition, because what you
That's okay.
They really cater to those people who are trying to transition because they are wanting to explore more plant-based options, more plant-based protein. So it's kind of like friendly to them to try that.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the cat. But yeah, she's right.
Okay, so, but bacon though.
Oh my god. Okay. We kind of already discussed this over lunch, but basically what my main thing is, I grew up not eating bacon, so I don't miss it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I know you said you didn't really eat it either, so...
Yeah, I didn't really like it. It tastes like, the texture of it is so like fatty and oily and just chewy that it's just really a texture thing for me. But I know that if we're gonna talk bacon, it's usually a man who's saying, but bacon though, and that's all like, you know, carnism and masculinity, really associating meat with being masculine is the problem there. So then there are options, you know, like nothing's gonna be a 1-for-1 when you go like vegan. So you're never gonna find something that tastes just like that, but you shouldn't go into veganism thinking things are gonna taste exactly how they used to taste.
Right, exactly.
It's a whole nother thing, and you should just value and enjoy and be open about how things are going to taste, because you can't go into like thinking you can't think that tempeh bacon is going to taste 1-for-1
right
to regular bacon, because it's comparable, but it's not the same. But you learn to appreciate that. Like, I really appreciate that.
Right. And like, do you eat like fake bacon at all, or?
I really don't, because I was never really big into bacon to begin with.
Same.
I've tried tempeh bacon like a couple of times. There's a restaurant here in Nashville called Gray's that makes like some really good tempeh bacon that they put into a breakfast bowl, and I like that. It's just I don't know. For me, bacon is like the smokiness. Like,
right.
I just want the smokiness of bacon.
Yeah, I don't know. And I know like a lot of like other YouTubers like have done like bacon comparisons and tests and stuff.
Yeah.
I just haven't gone out of my way to like try all of those because it's not really something of my interest. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And the same vein, but cheese though.
Yeah. That's always the one thing that people like get stuck on, I feel like, and like it's honestly now compared to when I first was vegan, there are so many more options.
There really is.
Like,
we went vegan around the same time.
Yeah, we went vegan like around 3 years ago. So like,
it's
like the amount of products that have come out since then, and I'm sure like they have been out. It's just like not in this general area, and I feel like now like we have those options.
Yeah.
More like readily available to us. So, I think after I don't know how many weeks. I just didn't crave cheese anymore after I went vegan. I don't know about you, but like, it's not something that I wanted. And so like, yeah, I'll have it sometimes. Like even now, I like rarely have the fake cheese. Like I don't eat it all that much.
Yeah.
Like nutritional yeast, yeah, oh my gosh, that's like
a
must for me.
For me, I was like never like I liked cheese. I really liked mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the first meals I made when I went vegan was mac and cheese, and I made the cheese from like cashews, you know, which there's a million recipes on that online. But for me, I just feel like the cheese aspect people get stuck on because cheese is addicting, and it's like a comfort kind of food because it's like thick, you know, so like it sits in you kind of thick.
Well, and I also think too, like when they're making the product themselves, like they actually put something into the cheese that is actually addictive, and that's why people struggle with not eating it.
Yeah.
Or, like trying not to eat it kind of thing. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at first you do miss it, but like since like she said, when we went vegan like 3 years ago, the options were not really there like they are now. There's so many options, it's insane. And dye has really changed the game from the reformulation.
I know, oh my
It's
gosh.
gotten so good. Like, a lot of the vegan cheese has gotten really good.
Have you had the Viva Life?
I think so,
The
yeah.
one in like the gray bag.
Yes.
Okay, that's my favorite like spread cheese.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, they have a really good Parmesan
Mm-hmm.
that really grates like regular like Parmesan cheese does. So, yeah, it's like getting really, really insane out there with the cheese game. So really, I don't know, that kind of stuff I try not to buy too often because it gets really expensive.
It can get expensive.
It gets really expensive. You can make it at home though. So.
Right, making it at home is probably a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
Or like way cheaper.
Let's see. Why can't you just be vegetarian?
Well, it kind of runs along the same. Well, oh, this is such a deep subject.
It really
Okay,
is.
so...
There's so many avenues.
Alright, so where do I start? I don't want to be vegetarian because, oh my gosh, we're gonna get into this now. So those cows that are in the dairy industry are milked and impregnated over 4 or 5 years, like continuously, like throughout those, you know, their babies are taken away from them. Their milk is used so that us humans can take it and use it for cheese and like milk and
So
weird products.
weird.
Like we don't need it, first of all. Anyway, and then they're sent to slaughter, grass-fed or not. They're sent to slaughter, and that to me, it doesn't sit well with me, knowing that. So I can't agree with it.
Yeah, and then like when you look at the average lifespan of a dairy cow, it used to be like I think like 20 years.
It's 20 years, I think.
Yeah, and now it's 7. Like they pass away after 7 years because they're just bred so much. It's so hard on their bodies.
All like the GMO and
yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms. The GMOs, Monsanto, Roundup Ready corn, Roundup Ready soy. For me, I can't just be vegetarian because not only is it the ethics behind it and the environmental issues behind it, you know, it's the same environmental footprint as, you know, the meat industry. But it's also like the health standpoint, like that stuff's just not good for you. Like, actually, there's a positive correlation between how much calcium you consume and rates of osteoporosis. So, you know, people who consume a lot of cow's milk, a lot of cheese and sour cream and all that kind of stuff, they're at risk. They're at higher risk for osteoporosis.
Yeah, I think they did a study though. Like, I heard about probably around the same time I went vegan. Is they had nurses in the hospital. Half of them, I think, were drinking like just regular milk, and the other half were drinking plant milk. And the women who ended up drinking the cow's milk had a higher percentage of developing osteoporosis. And, you know, that's huge. Like, why would we want to promote something that's going to be detrimental to our bones?
Yeah.
You know, like, not only that, like, with our gut health, our blood, and, like, everything else. So.
Yeah. And then there's all the marketing out there saying that it's good for your bones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which...
and, like, you can get calcium from so many other things, too, though. Like, broccoli and, like, you know...
Almond milk has a lot of calcium.
Yeah.
And you really don't need that much in a day. Same thing with protein. You really don't need that much in a day. Like, we're in this hyper protein environment right now. Like, the market is just saturated with protein. Like, we're obsessed as a country with protein. And I know some people who eat like 200 grams of protein a day. And like, you really don't need that much. It's really a weight conversion. Like, you just should be eating as much protein. Like, I think it's like 0.6 grams of protein per pound that you are.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. You shouldn't be eating like 200 grams of protein a day. Like, that's...
And I think, like, when we're talking about protein, like, I feel like because of, like, the whole, like, protein phase, we honestly should be focused on the amount of fiber that we are taking in. Because that's something I think a lot of people are missing, and that's why, you know, the US and the UK are struggling with, you know, obesity and, like, all this other stuff, and, like...
Yeah. And then just all the cancers are associated with eating so much protein.
Yes.
Like the China study.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the next question was protein, so I just...
Oh, okay, awesome. Well, I was trying to think of something else I could say about it, and then I lost my train of thought. Oh, did you know? Okay, so and I'll have to reread it just to make sure. But like I just finished reading the Starch Diet.
Starch Solution?
That's what it is. Starch.
Dr. McDougalls?
Yes, yes, that one. And like he talks about protein in there, and like, have you read it?
I have not read it.
Okay, so there's a chapter in there that talks about protein, and it all comes down to this one scientist who did an experiment on a rat, and come to find out that the rat was a lot healthier if it ate more protein. And then that's where like the huge like protein thing exploded. Which, okay, first of all, why are we comparing ourselves to a rat?
We share a lot of DNA with a lot of animals, and the rats, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
But like,
yeah,
because we're not rodents.
Yeah, we're not rodents. It's just I don't think people realize how much DNA we share with like so many different animals, and how it's like animal studies can't really translate to humans very well at all. Yeah, exactly. Like we're just so complex. And just the fact that we share DNA doesn't mean that it's going to translate. Exactly. You know? Yeah. So anything tested on rodents, on rabbits, on monkeys, like it just doesn't make sense to me, because And of course, this like happened like in the early like 1900s. So like, you know, at that time, everyone's gonna believe like that one scientist. Yeah, you know, kind of like the whole vaccines and autism thing. Yeah. Exactly. We're still fighting that. Next question. Soy can give you cancer. Sure.
I think like that's such like a misconception on so many levels.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the estrogen thing.
Yeah, it's like the estrogen thing that basically all the estrogen they could give man boobs, but that's really not true. That is like my hot topic. That's like the thing that gets me going. Like phytoestrogens are totally different than animal ingested estrogens and hormones. Yeah. Phytoestrogens and phytohormones, they regulate your hormones. Whereas like taking it from a cow or a goat or whatever it be is actually dysregulating things. Like if you think about it, like PCOS, like a lot of the women who have it consume a lot of dairy.
Yeah.
So like just think about that. And well, soy giving you cancer though. I know there's like a lot of studies on like different diets and cancer rates, and actually a completely like vegan diet. There was like a study that they had 16% less cancer among vegans than omnivores and vegetarians. So that's really something to think about. I know there's been some people who, always, talk to your doctor and everything, but I know there's some people who have adopted like a holistic vegan diet in conjunction with their cancer treatments and really like gotten rid of cancer that way. Like
I don't know if you know, but the new vegan restaurant in Murfreesboro, like the woman who opened it, she had cancer. And she decided to go vegan, and it changed her life. Like, and obviously it changed it so much that she opened her own restaurant and is now really popular in Murfreesboro. So
wow. Yeah. Well, I feel like saying soy gives you cancer is just such a lazy way to say that like you don't want to change things. Like a lot of these, like we can really like sum up all of this stuff to people trying to figure out a way to make an excuse not to go vegan, and it's really because your existence is causing them cognitive dissonance. Like you existing, even if you're not like pushy and like trying to get people to go vegan or anything like that, you existing is combative to them because it makes them feel inferior. It makes them have to look at something and acknowledge that this is wrong, and that causes a lot of confusion in their minds, and they're going to grasp for something to make them feel right, because as humans we want to feel right,
of course,
and so we want to feel good in the choices that we make,
and I don't know about you 100%, but I know like for me, like even after like the couple weeks that I went vegan, I just felt better, like physically and mentally. Like I was like, I feel great. Like, I know I'm not
Yeah.
hurting anyone. Like, you know, like.
Yeah. Like, I think when I went vegan, my, like, whole perception on, like, everything just changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything suddenly seemed, like, sunnier and, like, happier and...
Right, but then you're also figuring out, like, the dark side of, like...
Yeah.
Everything.
You're getting so woke. You're getting
like,
so woke.
Like, okay, well, hold on. Let me take this in for the next few weeks. Like, it's so much information, and, like, basically we've been, oh my gosh, brainwashed up until, you know, like, 3 years ago, basically. So, like...
Yeah, it's insane. Like, you could research it for years and years and years and uncover so much stuff. And then when you think about it, like, if we talk about all the different viewpoints that we're getting from the media on what a diet should be, what our diet should be, they're
Right.
so conflicting all the time. You ever think about why that is? And that's because there's all this financial interest in things like the egg industry, the dairy industry, all of that. So oftentimes when you look at these studies that say, like, oh, bacon's good for you now, eggs are good for you now, which an egg has more daily cholesterol. One egg has more cholesterol in it than you should get in the whole day.
Right. And some people have
multiple eggs a day.
Yeah.
And they put it in everything. Like, not even just eating an egg. It's in everything.
Yep. Literally everything. Sometimes, like, when I buy something, or try to buy something, and I look at the ingredients, and it has egg in it, and I'm like,
why? Like, why is this in here?
why? Or, like, the milk.
The milk casein? Why does it have casein
or
in
whey? Like, why is whey in this? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't need... Like, when I go buy chips,
Yes.
and there's milk in there, and I'm like...
It doesn't make sense because it's not like a sour cream and
potato.
onion chip. Like,
It's a potato.
yeah.
Like the baked Lay's, I think. I
Yes.
can't remember which one exactly it was, but, like, it has milk in it. And I'm like, I used to love these, but now I can't have them because there's...
Or like
milk in it.
the sun chips. I used to love sun chips.
Oh,
But they
yes.
all have milk. They all have milk.
They all have... Oh my gosh.
Um,
But yeah, okay. Well, thanks for, you know, hanging out and going to lunch with me. And
so much
I
fun.
haven't seen her since we worked together, so...
Like 5 years.
Yeah, and then, like, we went vegan around the same time, too.
It's
like,
so weird. It's so weird.
and we, like, I don't know, we relate on a lot of things. I think.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know why we haven't gotten together, but you were also in school.
Yeah, I was in a whole nother town, a whole nother part of the state.
Yeah, which is fine. But, you know, we got together and we made this for you, so...
Yay!
Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And keep an eye out for my friend here. She's hopefully going to be starting her channel soon, and when she does, I will make an announcement. So.
Yay! Well, nice seeing y'all.
Bye! No! Stop!